Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. So we've got a little project that I want to get at least started today. As you can see here behind me, we picked up a kitchen of cabinets. It was a really small kitchen, and I think these are going to work perfectly in our kitchen, or at least will be part of our kitchen. So it's that finding free stuff is awesome, and these look like they're in pretty good condition. So they're IKEA cabinets, and if we need parts or anything for it, we can just go to IKEA, which is about an hour away from us. But on the other side here is a glass door that we found with the frame. So you can see the frame sitting in the opening there, and the door is leaning against the wall there. So I'm going to show you a little closer picture of that. So the reason we were able to get this door and frame for free is because the glass is broken. But this is a 3-layer glass, so the guy just taped the crap out of it to keep it from falling apart. But what I think that I can do with this thing is I can either remove this broken piece of glass and just keep the 2 other pieces of glass in there and fill in where that glass goes with this greenhouse panel. I would have to cut it down and make it fit, but I'd put the greenhouse panel inside the hole here. I'm not sure if I could get this glass out, so I'm not going to attempt that just yet. I'm going to get the frame mounted and get it nice and secure, and then we will see what we need to do with this. I'm definitely going to take all the tape off, and then I'll see what I need to do if it's possible to get this glass out. You can't disassemble the frame. It's a plastic or a PVC type frame, so it's all plastic welded together in the corners. And so what I want to do is, one, get all the tape off, and if there's any glue left over, like you can see how the glue is sticking here, I'll scrape all that off. And what they've got here is like a foil, a plastic foil that gives them like a texture. So I may still be able to use something like this, because that was evidently put there to stop the crack. And I think when he removed it, it ended up breaking more. So I can just put the foil on there to keep it whole and somewhat sealed, and still put the greenhouse panel in there to give it that extra layer of protection. And it would also hide any milkiness that might happen in the window. So this is not a critical insulative area. We're just trying to slow down the airflow that comes in and out of this barn, because it gets really moist in here when the weather changes drastically. And so what we want to do is slow down that air movement and moisture movement. So this doorway has always been just kind of wide open. I had the greenhouse panel sitting in there to keep wind from flowing just so freely through here, but it always had the big hole here, and it didn't fit tight at all in the opening. So I've got some wood beams and posts that I think that I'm going to fill in the edges and the top with, and we'll see how this thing works out. But I'm going to get started on measuring and seeing what I have to do to get the wood to fit into the hole here. My goal is to build a post and beam surround, and then fit the door inside that post and beam or to the face of that post and beam. Depends on how big the posts are and the beam is, if I can cut them down or not, because a lot of the post and beams I have already have nails and screws and metal shards from whatever else in there. So I don't know if I can cut them without damaging my saw blades. So we'll see how things pan out with what recycled wood I can find, and then we'll see how this is going to go together. All right, here are the 3 wood beams that I'm going to attempt to use. These 2 seem to be pretty clean. No nails, screws, bolts, anything like that. This one has a big, huge nail here, a big, huge nail down there, and another nail on the other side. Now, I'm gonna try to get these 2 out, pushing them back out the other way, and then I'm not sure what I'm going to do about this one. Maybe I can just cut it off because this thing is too long. So I can cut that one off. I can get this one out, get that one out. There's another one here, but I don't think this is gonna be a problem. And I may have some other like little metal brackets and stuff that just need to be removed. But I think everything's gonna be fine. Even if I just need to cut this off, I think that'll be fine. I don't know if I'm gonna need to cut this board at all other than length. This one, on the other hand, you can see it's got some rotten stuff in it that I believe I can just cut off. But this one's pretty warped and bent up. So what I want to do is attempt to get a straight, smooth edge. This surface seems to be the flattest, but it's not flat by any means. This one and this side and this side are both fairly flat. So what I'm thinking is I may try to run it through the table saw by screwing this board to a piece of plywood that will give me a nice straight edge to run against the fence, and then shave off a little bit at a time, trying to get it as square and as smooth as possible, at least on one face, and that's where I will put my door. If I can get one face smooth, then I'm really just gonna fill in with spray foam at the blocks, because those are so uneven and not plumb, not square. And then this board here is really nice. It's got a nice, smooth, flat surface on the bottom, and the face and this face are all fairly smooth and square. The only one that's not, well, actually they're all pretty smooth and square. This one just has a big, what would be the bark or sapwood area. That's not going to matter because the board is so thick. The door frame, I think, is 60 millimeters thick, and this is 100 by 120, and this one is 100 by 120, and this one is 120 by 120, I believe. So I can take some off this one. So I'm going to see what I can do to make these work out. All right, I got those 3 big ones out. So now I believe I can just cut this thing to length and make it work. All right, so I'm gonna get ready to cut this board. I've screwed it to this piece of OSB here to give me the straight edge against the fence. And I'm gonna attempt to smooth out this surface first. And if that works, then I can rotate the board and put that smooth surface down on the plywood and do the other surface and get at least a square corner. Even if I don't get all the way across the board, I can hopefully get one square corner, and that will be where I mount the window frame. All right, I was able to square this board up on all 4 sides, square enough to do what I need to do. I did hit a couple of nails, so hopefully my saw blade didn't suffer too much. They were pretty small nails. And then this one, I was able to get all the nails out, and I got one side squared up. Well, actually this has 3 sides that are square, and even this side has a flat surface and is pretty consistent thickness wise. So I didn't feel the need to cut that any further unless it is required to make it fit. And then I've got my upper beam cut to length. I didn't have to square it at all, just cut the ends off. So now I'm going to fit these into the door opening and measure and make sure that my door will slide into the frame. I want it to be between the posts if I can make that happen. Even if I have to cut one of these things down a little bit more, I'll do that because I want to be able to screw from the inside of the frame to the outside of the frame into these boards to give it a nice, sturdy, secure doorway. This door is very heavy, and these will need to be anchored to the blocks. So I'm going to put some really large bolts going through these into the concrete or the stone pieces on the side, the stone and the bricks, whatever it is that I'm going to attach to. I want to make sure that that's a really nice, secure connection. Then I will spray foam all the way around it, and once everything is dry and secure and everything is working, then I can come out and trim out a little bit so that you don't see the foam. But right now we just want to try to make sure that the door is nice and secure in the opening. Well, I ended up having to cut both boards down considerably, 2 centimeters on this one and I think 3 centimeters on that one to make them thinner, to make the door frame go in. The sides are very not plumb, so I've had to chisel out lots of stone in the corners on both, and even some at the top on this side, and you can still see how much gap there is there. But now the frame is sitting in between the 2 boards. It is level and it is plumb. So, and that's just sitting in there. There's no fasteners whatsoever yet. So I have, this board is a little bit tall, by about 2 centimeters. And this one is maybe 1 centimeter, but this is not a square cut yet. So by the time I square that off, that's probably going to be pretty close. Now what I want is maybe just a little bit of wiggle room. As of right now, this looks good. So I think, and I do have a little rock shimmed up under there to make this level here, which it's already pretty level because I think there was a door here before and they leveled it to make it right. So it's pretty level. I think I'm probably only propped up maybe 2 or 3 millimeters there in total to get it perfectly level. So that's good. So now what I want to do is get these boards cut to almost the top of the frame. I want to have at least 2 or 3 millimeters there to wiggle and make sure everything is perfect. And this one I'm going to cut off maybe like 2 centimeters, somewhere around in there. Then I'm going to fit this back in here. I'm not sure how I'm going to attach it just yet, but I think that maybe attaching the wood pieces to the PVC frame once it's sitting in here, like get everything the way I want it and make sure everything is level and plumb, then attach the plastic frame to the wood frame and treat it as one unit. And then we can set it in place, mark everything. I think I have enough space here so that I can drill through, mark where my anchors are going to be on the wall, remove everything, get the anchors drilled in, and then put it all back together and bolt it in, and just use shims between there so that it gets nice and tight. And then once everything is in there and functioning properly, I can just fill in all the gapped areas with a little bit of spray foam, and then finish it off with some either wood trim or just backfill it with mortar or puts, plaster, whatever, to make it look nice. So we'll kind of fill that out and see how it's going to go. But right there, it's looking pretty good. All right, so I've installed the upper support, and while installing that, I knocked some stuff loose and this brick came down. So that's I'm gonna have to mortar that back in, and then wedge it with something to kind of get it to dry properly. So I've also got the frame all screwed together. I've got screws in all the existing holes. And then what I've done is I just put a really long screw into the mortar, and that will hold it where it needs to be. I did that 2 times over here, and I've only got one here, and it's going into actually a block of wood that's buried into the wall. So now what I'm going to do is take the door frame out and drill for my actual anchor points, and I'm going to do at least 4. 1 at the bottom, 1 at the top on both sides, and then probably on this side, well, let's see, this is the latch side, probably 1 in the middle, or maybe just do 6 total, and that way I know that it's anchored really well. But now I just need to pull the door frame out, the plastic frame, and put my pre-drill and put my screws in so that I'll mark the spot on the block where I need to go. So I want to go into these larger stones. They go all the way back, and I want to get right in the middle of those stones to make it as strong as possible. And so I get here, probably, I don't know, probably this one. This one doesn't go back very far. And then down at the bottom, this one or this one of the 2 lower stones. So get that going. All right, it is installed. And I started pulling the tape off, and that is a big pain. It is really stuck on there. So I'm gonna either have to heat it or use some sort of adhesive remover on it. But it is very stuck on there. A few pieces came off pretty easy, but most of it's just tearing and turning into little shreds. So now I'm going to add a little spray insulation all the way around to help secure it. That will help glue it into the wall as well. And then later I'll fix that brick up there when I mix up some mortar, the next time I mix some mortar up. But I'm going to go ahead and spray a little foam in the top, but not around that brick. And then we'll put the mortar in that brick and then spray a little more foam in there later. But we'll get most of the gaps filled. All right, spray foam is done, or at least mostly done. And this should be a functional door now, or at least it has what they call a kipper function, where it just leans out at the top to help bring air in, but not let air just flow straight through. The door is still latched at the bottom and hinges off of the bottom. And show you how that works here. So I'm using the trusty ratchet here. So you twist this all the way up. So I had to put a little pressure on the bottom. You can see how it just leans out at the top. So that is a normal function for doors and windows. Well, I'd say windows usually, not usually doors, but this is actually just a really big window. All right, well, I have the spray foam put in there. I think that's going to help secure it in the hole a little bit better. There's still air gaps around it. You can see, if I get it just right, you can see along the door frame, you can see a little light through there. But this barn is not airtight, but this will definitely slow down the amount of air coming into here and leaving here. So the next project would be the front doors, which are huge barn doors. But this one's done, so I'm glad about that. And then we'll move on to another project. This door does not have steps or anything, so it will never get used. It's really just allowing light in and allowing us to see out the back. Now, if I put the greenhouse panel on there, it's not going to let us see through it, but it'll still let light in, and that's the biggest thing. And then in the summer, if we want it to air out, we can just open the door or use the lean out function at the top. So I'm going to call that project done, at least for the moment, until I get this little brick put in. And I may come back and do some caulking around the edges just to seal it up a little bit nicer. But in any case, this thing will come out really easily. And if I want to put a good window, a good door in, it's already spaced and square and ready for that. So I think we're going to be good to go as far as future concerns, but this will be a marked improvement over the little greenhouse panel that was just sitting in place there. But this project is done, and thanks for watching.